Hello and welcome to Ron Whitlock Reports. On the program today, Eddie Lucio III, a state representative from the lower Rio Grande Valley, lives in Brownsville, and Richard Raymond, who's a state representative for the upper Rio Grande Valley, lives in Laredo and represents Webb County in that immediate environment area known as Laredo. Welcome to the program, Representative Richard Raymond. Now, he's on the phone, so you know, from his office at the state capitol in Austin. Eddie Lucio III here in the studio. Let me shake your hand there, Eddie. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, both gentlemen are going to have quite a session. They're in the midst of their session right now with a brand new speaker, Joe Straus of San Antonio. Mr. Raymond, you excited about having a new speaker?
Yes, I am. I was one who felt very strongly that we needed to have a new speaker. And, the times, the circumstances sometimes kind of take care of things. And Joe Straus was someone that a week ago I think most folks would not have anticipated would be in this position a week later. But here we are. And he's the right man, I think, at the right time. And, those of us who have worked with him know that he is a very fair guy. He's a gentleman. He's deeply committed to the state of Texas. I'm a Democrat, he's a Republican, but you can work together on the things that are important to the state. And when you don't agree, because you'll never agree 100% with anyone, you can do so in a way that is respectful. And I think that's something that we're all looking forward to from Representative Straus, and I'm very excited about it.
Considering your comments made on the House floor, the waning moments of the last session when Speaker Craddock was trying to retain his speakership, you would have had a pretty tough session had Speaker Craddock got reelected, undoubtedly. Eddie, yourself, you excited about the new speaker?
Absolutely. We're voting on a process now, as opposed to any particular candidate. Joe Straus is a great guy. I had a chance to get to know him last session. We were in communication during the interim, talking about several issues. I'm excited that he represents a demographic very similar to my own, and is obviously in tune with the struggles of the Hispanic community. So excited about where we're heading, excited that our ability to participate in Austin won't be dependent so much on a relationship with the speaker, but based on the talents that we bring to the table.
We encourage you to participate and view our entire program today. We've got an exciting program because President Barack Obama, his $1 trillion stimulus package, looking to do some things in South Texas, in particular because he made some campaign promises to this reporter about building the third international dam specified in the 44 Treaty, that dam at and above Laredo, where you, Richard Raymond, represent. You have looked at the flooding, which the audience is now seeing, that occurred the last time a major hurricane, that being Hurricane Alice, devastated Laredo back in 1954. Now, the new international dam, which Barack Obama, the President of the United States, has agreed, responding to my question, said he would look at building this dam. Would you like to help Barack Obama get this dam built at Laredo?
Yes, and I think that everyone is more aware now that, particularly because of the last few years and even this year, the rains and the hurricanes that we have seen in the entire Texas area. I think people are more aware that these things can happen and that they can be devastating. And, today we in Laredo are growing so fast, as you are in the valley. Our economic base is expanding, our population is expanding, the businesses that were coming in are growing. To have to go through a major disaster like a flood of that proportion, again, would just economically be devastating to Laredo, and would affect, because we have so much trade that comes through Laredo, goes on to the entire United States. Frankly, would affect not only many parts of Texas, but many parts of the United States. So I believe that investing in infrastructure in a way that anticipates problems that we could face that would be very, very tough and tries to prevent those problems is the right way to go. In addition, you can wed some of those concerns with trying to do things that address issues that some want to bring to the table today, whether it's immigration, illegal immigration, or the fact that we need to do more about thinking about water sources for the future. And so I do think that we should look closely at the possibility of a dam, and that in the long run that may serve a lot of different interests in a good way.
Now, here's the question posed to Barack Obama.
I think it's also important for us to look at what kinds of natural barriers might be available to deal with some of the storms that could arise. Because if we are oftentimes building man-made barriers, but we don't have the natural barriers that have been put in place, then we can be overwhelmed no matter how much we invest. So I think it's important for us to combine environmentally sound approaches with infrastructure improvements. It's something that I would make a top priority.
Now, as you heard him say, he would take a look at it, and that's somewhat positive about trying to get the third dam built. Now, you have before you the flooding is shown from the 1954 flood from Hurricane Alice, and you show that in 54, the remains of a bridge from Eagle Pass came all the way down the Rio Grande and impacted your railroad bridge there in Laredo and the International Bridge.
It's just a reminder of how, again, how devastating something like this could be. It was back then, but in more modern times, all you've got to do is look at places like Galveston, look at places like New Orleans, look at places along the Mississippi River, and you know that if we don't anticipate and try to do more about managing natural disasters or the flow of massive flow of waters when you have heavy rains and thunderstorms, that in the long run it'll actually cost us more economically, because they would be devastating. I mean, Laredo, as I said, is we are the largest inland port in the country. We have so much trade that comes through here that were we to face something like floods of that proportion again, it really would affect many parts of the economy, not just ours in Laredo, but I will tell you across Texas and across parts of the country. So it's a good reminder to look at those aerial photos from before. But as I said, you can look at more recent ones in Galveston and New Orleans and places like that, and know that this isn't something that just happened, used to happen many years ago. It's something that happens now.
As you can see here, Representative Lucio, many bridges south of Laredo all the way down to Brownsville, a large number. There were 3 bridges that failed. The Eagle Pass Bridge, it was pushed downstream by the floodwaters of Hurricane Alice. It then impacted on the railroad bridge, which, like a domino, it was wiped out. And then both bridges, the Eagle Pass Bridge and the railroad bridge in Laredo, then wiped out. The International Bridge, only one at that time in 54 in Laredo. So you had all 3 bridges, Eagle Pass, the railroad bridge, and the International Bridge at Laredo, all failed by virtue of the fact there was not a dam to catch those floodwaters above Laredo. So it did, however, come on down, and those waters were caught by Falcon Dam, which had just been completed not too many months prior to Hurricane Alice, caught all that rainwater, solved the drought in the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas, the lower valley, and also the valley was not wiped out like Laredo had been wiped out. That's how important dams are, Eddie.
Sure, absolutely. I was at a public meeting last night where we talked about the issues of flooding and how one area can experience a tremendous amount of impact based on what happens miles and miles away, and how it filters through and comes down into a particular area, such as it did, from Eagle Pass down to Laredo. It's something that, what I've seen, both Natural Resource Committee in the House and in the Senate understand that there are regional implications, and we must approach it in a regional sense. So I think that natural resources, drainage district preparations and studies are at the forefront of this next legislative session, and I look forward to working on those issues.
We are now going to let you see Barack Obama and his comments about building up the river levees and the levees in the floodway system to be able to handle Category 4 and 5 hurricanes.
I think it's very important for us to look at the infrastructure in the region. Levees are going to be absolutely critical, and I think we have to design those levees in a way that they can withstand a Category 4 or 5 storm. They aren't in the kind of shape that they need to be.
Now we need to expect Barack Obama to help build that third international dam above Laredo, give us flood protection, water supply, recreational assets, and provide jobs, because when you build a dam, a lot of jobs involved with that. Is that exciting to you?
It's very exciting. I think you have seen, like many of Americans, over the course of the last couple months and leading up into, his transition team has stated that he would like to include in his stimulus package a lot of investment in infrastructure.
Such as levees, such as Interstate 69,
you name
such
it.
as the
yes,
dam.
Sir. Yes, sir. It provides jobs. It creates for, a better infrastructure throughout our country. We've seen what happens when bridges fail in other parts of the nation, as it happened last year, and how devastating that can be on a community, on the economy in that area. And I think that he's very wise to include that in his economic stimulus package, because he understands the need for it.
And if 3 bridges were to fail in Laredo today, that would shut down Detroit, because all of those maquila parts would be able to get up and handle taking care of the vendors and the big 3 automakers.
Laredo is extremely important. It's the #1 inland port, #1 crossing from Mexico. Obviously, we understand and appreciate the reliance on the Mexican maquiladora system and what services and goods it provides to the United States economy. And so, yeah, it's extremely important. And I commend Representative Raymond and others in the Laredo area for sustaining that growth, nurturing that growth, preparing for it. I recently visited Laredo. It's a wonderful community. It continues to grow. And grow in a responsible, organized fashion. So I'm excited for what the future holds for Laredo and really all of Texas.
I think that one of the things that President Obama has done right and correctly is to assess where we are across this country with reference to our infrastructure. The fact is, throughout history, if you look at the presidency of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that's when you had the first real infusion of massive infrastructure, bridges, roads, highways, bridges, etc. That helped not only put people to work temporarily, of course, but it really moved our economy to a new level. And then when we got the federal interstate system under President Eisenhower, same thing happened. And I think now President-elect Obama recognizes that it is now another period in our history where we need to look at investing not only in those bridges and roads and things that exist now that need to be reinforced, because many of them across America are old, but that we need to take that extra step to build the new bridges and roads and so forth, highways, that would match our economic potential in terms of moving commerce, in terms of expanding our trade with other countries, etc. And Texas is now the second most populous state in the country, continuing to grow, as you know. And I think the president will recognize that, and all of us in the state legislature work very closely with our federal legislators, and I think we'll continue to do so, and see this as a wonderful opportunity. So I think it's going to be a period of growth for us in Texas, and a president and President Obama that recognizes this is one of the states we really should be investing in.
We now want to take you back to November 2nd, just prior to the election, when you went to the polls and possibly voted for Barack Obama because of the commitments he made to this reporter regarding the completion of Interstate 69 and the jobs it would provide to the region.
As you know, as former Secretary of Transportation, I spent a lot of time in Texas and throughout the country working on improving our highway system and our transit system. One of the things that Barack Obama has said is we've got to create a new infrastructure fund, which will have billions of dollars of new money, which would go for infrastructure. And we are hopeful that there will be enough money to help projects like that one in Texas. These roads are like the one that you described, which are important to the economy of Texas and the country, frankly, are the ones that we invest in. So he's been very clear about that, and I believe he would be very supportive.
So your candidate was campaign co-chair Federico Pena, that he would be making commitments to finish out Interstate 69 here in the region of South Texas. Right now, all of those jobs with those people working on those roadways, building those highways, building out that infrastructure would provide an economic boom to South Texas.
Yes, sir. There's various benefits that we would, receive if those dollars are spent. Completing the portion of 37 South or I-69, whatever you'd like to call it, from Corpus Christi to Brownsville. One is it creates a corridor and allows...
And 59 going into Laredo, that's
Sure.
part of the 69 corridor.
Absolutely, and what that would do is create an opportunity to move goods quicker. We are strategically positioned to be, one of the leaders in our nation to bringing goods to the United States and therefore also distributing them south to Central and South America. But in terms of the local benefits, tremendous, because that is a substantial amount of work that would take place. I believe that, given his philosophy on creating jobs through infrastructure spending and through green technology and green engineering, I think that we're positioned to be at the top of that list of areas that would experience that investment. So I'm looking forward to his administration. Obviously worked really hard, both in the primary and the general, to advocate on behalf of now President-elect Barack Obama, because I believe that he brings a tremendous amount of talent to this position, and it's needed at probably one of the most critical times in our country's history.
Now, you were the first in the region of South Texas, other than maybe Juan Garcia, who was a friend of Barack Obama, classmate from college, basically, to sign up for Barack Obama. Yeah. So you're the go man. You're the one to go back to your candidate, Barack Obama. You're the one stuck your neck out, Eddie, and may have been chopped off had Hillary Clinton gone forward and Barack Obama not gone forward. So it's up to you, my friend, to take all these commitments that he's made.
Well, let me first off say that there was a lot of good people in South Texas that worked for Barack Obama.
No question.
I just happen to be one of many. Obviously, this is a place where Hillary Clinton did extremely well in the primary, and we tried to embrace our brothers and sisters who supported, in the Democratic Party, who supported Senator Clinton, and now Secretary of State, soon to be Secretary of State.
Now, Representative Raymond, you going to be able to help Eddie and kind of help us move this ball along and try to get these highways, these dams, and the border wall not built through Barack Obama?
I believe so, and let me say I was the first state legislator to endorse Hillary Clinton for president. Was very involved in her campaign. Campaigned with President Clinton. Was proud to do so, and then was equally proud to have been one of the first then to endorse then Senator Obama in his campaign for the general election. And I will say, we won as Hillary was able to carry the South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley strongly. But in November, Barack Obama was able to carry that area in a very strong fashion as well. I'm proud that we all united in the way we did behind him. And I do think that he is someone who has a worldview. He is someone who is not provincial. He is someone who will look to do things that are meaningful for the future of this country. And there's no question, as you look around America, that if you look from Brownsville to Laredo, that this is going to be one of the key parts, not only of Texas, but of America, in terms of making sure we can grow our economy and do the things that will allow us to get even more involved in trade, not only bringing goods in, as Eddie mentioned, but also sending goods out to all these Latin American countries, many of them, which are actually doing much better economically than many of the European countries are right now. So, just as their dollar is growing stronger, our ability to provide more goods to those areas is growing stronger, but they will come through Brownsville, through McAllen, through Laredo, and I think President Obama will see that, and I think he will do everything he can and will welcome us, I believe, with open arms in helping us build that future.
During our satellite interview with Barack Obama when he was running for the presidency of the ticket in Texas, and in fact he carried more delegates in Texas than Hillary. He led the state when he went to Denver because more Texas delegates went to Denver pledged to Barack Obama than to Hillary Clinton. We need to remember that, by the way. Here's what Barack Obama told me about the border wall and his standing on that particular structure.
Ultimately, we're not going to be able to build a wall across the entire Texas-Mexico border. And it impinges not only on landowners there, but it's not going to be effective. So what we have to do is work with the Mexican government. We've got to improve economic development on their side of the border so that they're creating jobs and economic development that can provide prosperity for their people. We have to have virtual borders, more effective border control, more effective border surveillance, more officials and officers who are handling the issues down there. And if we do those things, as well as a pathway to citizenship for those who are already in the United States and have put down roots here, are often raising families here and have children who are American citizens or are effectively American, if we combine all those strategies together, I think we can solve this problem.
So Barack Obama said he really seemed to prefer a virtual wall, some kind of virtual thing, and hopefully he'll be working with Napolitano, his designate for Homeland Security Secretary, to possibly stop the construction of that border wall.
That's correct. Well, in her previous statements, soon to be head of Department of Homeland Security, Napolitano, has stated that she has been against that particular possibility of building a brick-and-mortar wall. Obviously, I think she's going to advocate on behalf of increased border security. I don't think anyone along the border is against having, a strong force to protect against bad elements coming from Mexico, but a large majority, I would say, are against a brick-and-mortar wall, which is more of a symbol than an actual strategic way of keeping out the drug trade and the criminal element from our country. So I believe that the alternative of a virtual wall, which Senator Obama or President-elect Obama will advocate for, and hopefully his Department of Homeland Security head will advocate for, will fare much better, not only in our relationship building with Mexico, but also being effective as a border security element.
Thank you for appearing on the program via telephone, Representative Richard Raymond from your office at the state capitol in Austin.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Eddie Lucio III, for being with us here in the studio for this edition of our program. Thank you for joining us. Till next time, adios.